They say when you point a finger at someone, three fingers are pointing back at you. This quote is very apt for the United States of America. From human rights to racism to climate change, the US takes the moral high ground. But look at their record. They do not practice what they preach. On Wion Edit, we will look at these double standards. The US police shoots down nearly 1,000 people every year, and racism, white supremacy and xenophobia are the guiding principles behind these. According to data from the prestigious PNAS, 1 in every 1,000 black Americans is likely to be killed by the police. And people of color are more likely to be targeted by the police than white Americans. Data from Human Rights Watch also confirms this. American prisons are filled with 40% of Afro-Americans. But they only make up 13% of the country's population. So 1/6 of the population, 2/5 of the prison population. This is America. Now, the FBI's hate crime statistics for 2018 confirm the worst fears. It is not just the black American population that is being targeted there. Jews, Muslims, Sikhs, Latinos, minorities of every type are under threat in the US. And the FBI hate crime data may not even give us the full picture. The Federal Bureau of Justice says that about 250,000 hate crimes are committed every year in the US. 250,000. Where is the legislation to stop this? The US president talks about the plight of Uyghur Muslims in Xinjiang. That is right. It's a grave violation of human rights. But what gives him the moral authority to rake up such issues when religious, ethnic and gender minorities are forced to live in fear in his own country under his watch? President Trump talks about Hong Kong and Kashmir, but his own administration is yet to clean up its act in California, Arizona and Kentucky. Hate crimes are at a multi-year high at home, and US lawmakers talk about reviewing ties with India because they think that rights could be compromised in Kashmir because they see NRC and Rohingya crisis in the same light. You know who I'm referring to, and she's not an exception. This tendency to remain willfully ignorant and still take a moral high ground is not limited to issues of rights, or any particular issue for that matter. It also translates to climate change. US military's carbon footprint is greater than 100 countries put together. Data clearly shows that the US is the biggest greenhouse gas emitter on this planet, and yet environmentalist President Trump wants to speak about the garbage dropped by China and India into Los Angeles. Listen to this.
When people ask the question, you're part of the question about climate, I always say, I have a little problem. We have a relatively small piece of land, the United States. And you compare that to some of the other countries like China, like India, like Russia, like many other countries that absolutely are doing absolutely nothing to clean up their smokestacks and clean up all of their plants and all of the garbage that they're dropping in sea and that floats into Los Angeles, along with other problems that Los Angeles has, by the way. Isn't it amazing it ends up in Los Angeles? So, what a mess that is. But when you see this happening, nobody wants to talk about it. They want to talk about our country. We have to do this. We can't have planes any longer. We can't have cows any longer. We can't have anything. I said, what about China?
Well, I don't even want to begin to comment on this because that'll take a whole show. But we have a few questions for the US and its president. If minorities in America are subjected to hate crime on the basis of race, religion and gender, shouldn't the government address it before giving sermons to others? If the biggest danger to climate change begins at the US, shouldn't the government act on it before blaming the Paris Agreement, India